Number one show on the network is no joke. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I didn't want to do that, but okay, I guess it's too late. Hi, I'm James Lott Jr. I wanted to do something else, but we'll see how this turns out. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boba Fett Aftershow here on JLJ Media, the number one show on my network 2 months in a row. I can't believe it's everything else. It's crazy. The numbers are astounding. It is just, I am overwhelmed and humbled at the same time. Open up the chat room. Here we go. Of course, not alone. My partners in arms and all things, not Boba Fett, but Mandalorian. Just kidding. John Dunphy and Frank Moran. Hello, fellas.
Hello.
So, folks, we are on audio. We are on video. We are everywhere you want to be and more. So you can follow wherever it is. Wherever you find us, like, subscribe, hit the button, hit the follow, hit the stars, everything. Just hit it and make us look good. That's what I want to tell you. But thank you. Seriously, thank you for watching our show and listening to it, whichever it is you're doing. We completely appreciate it. The live chat is open now. And we are stretching this out for a little bit with some more talk. We will be doing, I know for sure I will be, but I'm sure they're going to join me too. I asked them. When Kenobi comes in May. So people are asking me, I'm watching all of them anyway, so I might as well talk to you guys about it, right? I mean, that's what we should do.
I mean, you know, if you're doing it.
So yeah, so we'll be back for that. So people are asking, we're back for that. We will be back for that. So true. Okay, gentlemen. The first thing I actually want to talk about before we get to the other stuff, there was a Twitter trailer, say that 5 times fast, that I tagged you both in, I think, or sent it to you guys. I don't know if you guys saw it. I think Frank saw it. I don't know if you saw it, John. Where they are promoting Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. Now, I was like, when I saw the trailer, it explained some stuff to me, but then in a way it did. We still need that documentary that Frank's talking about. We still need that. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like, is it now, are they now promoting them like this because of the show, how it was? Or was this the plan all along? They made it seem, folks, if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about, that Book of Boba Fett is part of the Mando universe. So I was like, is that what it is? So it really was not really supposed to be its own thing. It's here to support Mando, because the way they had it was like, first it was Mandalorian. Then there was Book of Boba Fett with Mandalorian. And now, season 3 of Mandalorian's coming. They didn't say like Boba Fett 2 is coming. They just said, I mean, it just felt really interesting to me. Gentlemen, what were your thoughts about this revelation of sorts? Let's go first.
Sure. I mean, I feel like for me, like any kind of popular franchise, you know, that's always your starting point, and then everything else kind of spirals out of that. So, for example, like the CW first show, there's Arrow, does incredibly well. They start spinning it off with the Flash, and then other subsequent series kind of rolling out of that, and it was always referred to as the Arrowverse.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can see this as, you know, certainly being, you know, if they're like talking like the Mandoverse, it's just, you know, with Mando, the Mandalorian kind of being our North Star, everything else is just kind of cascading underneath it. So even Ahsoka, you know, somebody else is that, you know, who's as a character got her start elsewhere, for live action at least, would be considered part of the Mando universe, because live action, that was the first time we saw her.
Yeah. Wait, John, before we get to you, I want to ask Frank something really quick, because now I didn't watch any of that stuff on CW, so I didn't watch any of that stuff. So when the other show, there was like 4 or 5 shows that came out after that, that were always. Did it seem? But did the other shows like their own shows though, or did they?
They certainly were more separated, okay, and could name check people, rather than having a lot of crossover. Occasional crossovers, and then once they had a lot of shows on, when you had Supergirl over on the CW, finally, you had Legends of Tomorrow, you had Batwoman, you're able to do those big, huge kind of crossovers they try to pull off, like Crisis on Infinite Earths, they kind of cross over all the series. So then you really see the interconnected stuff. But other than that, other than kind of like name checking, you know, the crossovers would be here and there occasionally. So I feel like what you saw in this season of Book of Boba Fett, with, you know, 3 kind of one definite episode that was just heavily focused on another character, and then 2 others to kind of lessening degrees. That was definitely much more interconnectedness than you would have saw on the CW.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Okay, John, please, what are your thoughts? That's interesting.
No, I mean, it's interesting because I hadn't really thought about it much. I really thought we were getting a different, a new show, a different show. But when you think of like the Book of Boba Fett and the fact that the Mandalorian, every episode was referred to as a chapter, it almost does feel like they're creating like a book series that's playing out on screen. And the Book of Boba Fett was like another edition of the Mando series, where we got a lot about Boba Fett, but we did have a lot of like really big questions answered about the Mandalorian. So this really almost, like you were saying, is a continuation. It's a new chapter of the Mandalorian, where we see him get a new ship. We see him reunited with Grogu, but we're also getting a lot of new stories and new information about really important characters in the Star Wars universe, like Boba Fett. But where we are at now, seeing how the season played out, this Book of Boba Fett, the first season, it really does feel like it's a package deal with the Mandalorian being like the main character of it all. That's what it feels like right now at this point to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because I think you could look at it almost like a Stephen King novel, one of his long, thick, meaty, 1,000, 1,500 page novels. Yes, where you've got your main characters, and then you'll segue into some other character for a chapter or 2, and Stephen King just drills deep to tell you a lot about this character that you're like, who is this person? Nobody really, but we're just getting to know them for chapter 2 because Stephen King is interested and wants to show you this stuff. So think about that. It's, Boba Fett is certainly a more well-known character, but if you looked at it all in the totality of like at all as a Mandalorian story, then just think of these first like 4 chapters of the Book of Boba Fett. It's just, like the Stephen King drilling deep into another character for a little while. And then we're getting back to the real story, which is, Mando kind of following his course of action.
Yeah. I mean, when you really think about it too, like just thinking back to the Mando series before we even met Boba Fett. I mean, we were still on an adventure with him, right? Where he went and he met Cobb Vanth and got Boba Fett's armor. So Boba Fett was part of the Mando story before we even really saw him in that story, so it really has been all interconnected from the very beginning.
You guys are really making me think something. And hello, my Mandalorian episode co-star, Ryan Nielsen. Ryan Nielsen, I love you. We love you too. I love you too. He's in the chat room.
Well, look who decided to show up in a chat.
He don't answer my emails anymore, but I still love you, Ryan. I don't care. I will always love you.
Yeah, Jack Reacher blew up. He's all of a sudden too big.
Yes, he's on the Jack Reacher talk show. About stuff. So, yeah, with Alan Richmond. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's a great series. It's fine. We're not bitter and shady. I am. No, yeah. So no, you guys are both making me think, because I don't watch some of this. I read on Stephen King. I do read. I did read those books. I know those were some thick books. And I was like, "Ooh, okay, I can do that." I was like, because it was like 1,000. It's The Stand. I even read the unabridged version of The Stand later, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'll be reading that for the next 10 years." That was crazy. And a lot of complaints about Stephen King, and I'll ask you if it relates to this, was that he sometimes goes so into detail in these things, which I like it because I like to. When I read his books, I read all his books, so I feel like I'm there. But some folks think that's a little too much. That you go off on a tangent on this one character for 2 or 3 chapters, and then like, here we go, Boba Fett. Now you guys are saying it this way. I'm going, okay, well, maybe now you're right. This was kind of a continuation of Mando. So here, now you find out how he left, how he survived. You got that, kids, and now back to Mando. Back to our regular schedule of programming. That's what it felt like. Now the way you guys are talking about, like, maybe you're right. We just didn't expect that, of course. That's not what we expected. Right. But now hindsight, I'm going, well, okay, I guess it does fit. I mean, it's basically Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe the way that they decided to talk about it or market it up top. I think a lot of audiences had a lot of expectations when all of a sudden the Book of Boba Fett shows up at the end of Mandalorian season 2, and people are wondering, oh wait, is that Mandalorian season 3? And then
Correct.
we're told like, no, this is its own series, not Mandalorian season 3. So, I mean, it was already not the most elegant of launch. It was kind of confusing, I think. And so I think had everything's kind of been more explained, I suppose, or, at least the Lucasfilm was a little bit more like, hey, yeah, this is how it's going to work. Audiences would have been like, oh, okay, so yeah, we'll see Boba Fett, but it's still Mandalorian story.
Right. Because that bonus scene, like that Marvel style, post-credit scene made me feel like we're getting like a Boba series. We're getting a series all about Boba, and maybe we'll see Mando, maybe we'll see Grogu, but it'll be very sparingly. And it turned out where we got, what was there? It was seven episodes in this season, right?
Right.
And basically 2 of them were almost all Mando. In one of those 2 episodes, we did get a nod from Boba Fett.
The Emmy nod that will be happening from Frank. Yes.
But when you think about it, 2 episodes out of 7, that's more than 25% of the series right there. So yeah, this was Boba's series, but this was Mando's series too. And there were a lot of important Mando questions, like his ship, like I was saying before, and the reunion with Grogu. I thought we'd be getting that on the next Mando season, and we got it on the Boba season. So whose show was this? I'm still having trouble.
See, John, that's where I'm confused. That's where I got confused. It's like you're actually having these major, not minor, but like major plot points happening on this new series.
Yeah.
Unlike the Marvel stuff that we've been trained now, I think, and maybe Frank will agree with me, we have been trained to kind of know that every series in Marvel will have a crossover of some sort. At the end, after the credits, there's always something they all tie in somehow, right? We can kind of feel like you should have to watch all of them. This is new. This whole Star Wars series thing is new. So we're not trained. It's like, I keep saying to you guys, that's like, well, what if everybody watches? What if everybody doesn't watch? What if they don't care about Boba Fett? They don't watch it. They get us. I don't care about that. Did he find out? Wait a minute, what happened on there? I'm a Mando fan. What happened? I mean, it's weird. That part was weird to me. But I think now the marketing of that trailer is like saying, no, bitches, you need to all watch both now. You need to watch both of them so you don't miss a thing. Yeah. So when 3 comes out, season 3 comes out of Mandalorian, then we come. And it almost feels like Boba Fett's done. Almost feels like I have no idea that they have not announced the season 2. I feel like the way he ended at the end, like, this is not for me or whatever. Whatever he said at the end, it's like, well, is that it? Is that all there is?
That's true, because like even with everybody so hot on 1883, the Yellowstone prequel, and everybody thought that was a new series, but just as they get to the season finale, at the end of the 10 episodes, we find out that nope, it was really just a limited series the whole time. They never announced that, but it was like, no, I just had this story. This is the one I wanted to do, and now I'm moving on to the next one. But you knew that just like when the season finale finished. So I mean, we haven't heard that with Boba Fett. So whether they just meant for that to be that's just Boba's story and that's it. That's all we're doing. Or will there be a season 2? Who knows? Yeah, there has not been really much talk about what's coming next.
And they really do have the option to go either way. If they want to make a season 2, they absolutely can of Book of Boba Fett. If they don't, and they just kind of want to roll it all into Mando, they could absolutely keep the fan favorite characters of Boba Fett and Fennec and have them have their adventures with Mando in the Mando series. And if they want to even still have little references to Tatooine and Boba Fett's domain there, they could still here and there reference the Mod Squad and Kersantin and the Rancor, and maybe they show up here and there, but like they could still use the Mando and still incorporate all of those characters, because Mando was literally in this show. He has a connection to all of them now. So whether you want to sort of continue that story that we got in this season of Book of Boba Fett through The Mandalorian, or you want to have another season of Book of Boba Fett, you can really go either way.
Yeah. I have a question. Both are okay. You both are making me have questions. I had a whole different direction to go with the show. We can win this. That can happen to another episode. I'll do that alone. I like the way this is going right now. Okay. So do they have to write out Mando 3, season 3 first before they can even map out a Boba Fett season 2? Or is there enough story to make a season 2, write out season 2 separate apart from Mando season 3?
Man,
I'm like, what would be the story for Boba? Like, what would be the story?
that's a tough one. I don't know. I find it hard for me to see a book of Boba Fett season 2 that could only be like Boba and Fennec. It doesn't seem. I think it would still have to rely somewhat on its connections to the Mando universe, the bigger scale of that. What that might be, I don't know. But I don't know. I can't really just see a concentrated series just set on the two of them, given what little we saw them developed in the first season.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. If more than 25% of the first season of this show, this idea was Mandalorian, then what are you going to do in the second season? Like, you'd have to rely so heavily on these other characters, I feel like. But yeah,
I was thinking, okay, so right now they must be writing Mando 3 right now. They must be, right? I mean, or at least they have it written already. They're going to. I'm thinking, then if they write it and add Boba Fett and Fennec on the series at some point, because their story, there's Bo-Katan still, Moff Gideon, there's a whole bunch of story on that show still that they on 3 is still got options. But I wonder if that after they write that, would that inform if there's a Boba Fett 2 and still keep Mando? And then I guess if I just said Ahsoka's in there somewhere, like does it now shift where Boba Fett supports Ahsoka, so to speak, the next season? I mean, I don't think that's we have to see that show first too, see what that one's about, and if Mando's in there, if Boba's in there, Fennec's in there. I wonder if that's when Frank said, I was like, that's a good point. I forgot Ahsoka also is coming up. They say that they just started filming or about to film, or they haven't filmed anything yet or whatever. They haven't. I mean, I was shocked. I thought they had done it by now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's interesting because if you look at Boba Fett and Mandalorian, those characters, like Boba Fett comes into the beginning of this series. The last we see of him is going into the Sarlacc pit at the end of Return of the Jedi, and but he's a bounty hunter. He's out for himself. He's doing his own thing. Then he goes through the experiences of Boba Fett season 1 and ends up just being that same person. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out of here. So he kind of just going off and doing his own thing. But Mando, we see him at least the end of season 2. He's given up Grogu. He's not sure what his next move is. He's got the Darksaber. There's huge, big things going on, possibly with Bo-Katan and how that's going to all play out. Then we go through what we see of him on Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and at the end, he's back with Grogu. But I would feel like, even though we're kind of resetting both characters, I'm much more satisfied with, even at 25%, the arc that we had for Mando in season 2, season of Book of Boba Fett, than I was with Boba's journey through the season, and it's named after him.
Yeah. I just, as we talk about it more and I think about it more, I'm less and less. I'm feeling less and less like there will be a second season of the Book of Boba Fett.
Me too. I think
because I feel like Boba Fett is that perfect character to be like the linchpin to sort of connect all these things, and I feel like whether that's Mando or Ahsoka, but it's funny because Boba at the end of the day is a character that became a fan favorite, but had such limited screen time and such limited dialogue in the original trilogy. And he has become this huge fan favorite that's gotten his own series and can now be a very important part of 2 other series going forward, right? Ahsoka and Mandalorian. And I feel like that's a great thing to me. And when you think about it, should Boba really get more seasons of his own show? Think about how many big fan favorite Star Wars characters have never had their own show. You know what I mean? Like, does Boba deserve another season or 2 more seasons of his own show? I mean, he just had, this is a guy that barely spoke, that we barely saw, but we love. He just had his own season and people weren't thrilled with it, but he still can be a huge part of the Mandalorian going forward and Ahsoka going forward. Like, do we even want another season of this show? You know what I mean? I'd almost rather see his character progress through these other stories now.
Interesting.
And I don't want to be construed to anybody that's watching or listening, is that even though I may be kind of critical or not glowing in praise for the Book of Boba Fett season 2, I still enjoyed watching it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's not like I regret spending the time with it. I was glad to see the character come around. But I'm with you, John. I don't necessarily need to see a second season for that. It's enough to know that he's out there in the universe, and the way they've set it up, that we know that any character can pop up in any series at any time. So I am totally cool giving another character the spotlight and letting Boba Fett and Fennec just pop up wherever they naturally need to pop up in somebody else's series.
Yeah, I'd love a second season. I would, and I would absolutely watch it, and I would enjoy it. But at the same time, I feel like, you know what, Boba just had his series. Now let's let him just be a badass on these other shows. He doesn't have to be the main focal point now, being the daimyo, trying to earn respect and have control and this and that. He can just be Boba again and just kind of fuck shit up on the Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and if we want to have references, I'm sure he'll still have some sort of control on Tatooine, and maybe we can throw a reference into that every now and then. He'll have his people on Tatooine can come and help Mando or help Ahsoka or whatever. Maybe that'll play into other series, but it doesn't have to be its own series or be a focal point anymore, I don't think.
That would suck. Frank.
But in a way, like I kind of compare to in comics the Submariner. Everybody, a lot of people who love comics love that character, and yet given a series, the series normally doesn't last very long. It just whatever. Whereas for as much as fans may say they love this character, they're really not interested in following him for an extended period of time in his own series. But they're always happy to see him pop up in all these other various books. And so, maybe that's the same thing with Boba. It's just that a fan favorite, and yet not engaging enough to really do a whole series about, but great to see him pop up in somebody else's series and just do his thing, and whatever it is.
See, now I'm almost like you're saying, Frank, earlier, if they had said this Boba Fett's a limited series, then I think I would have viewed it a little differently. And then they told us.
For you, James, when you first heard about it, were you expecting, hey, this is going to be another series that's going to run for multiple seasons concurrently or alongside with Mandalorian?
Yes, I figured they're going to try to copy the model of Marvel and DC. I figured that's what Disney Plus got the rights to everything. I felt like they're thinking, ooh, now it's our turn. When they started giving those lists out of like this series, I was like, those are all viable series. Mm-hmm. They started naming the names and things. I'm like, wow. And then you and I and John on the show thought of other names could be series too. I'm like, I was going, oh, this could be the start of it. And I was saying, so I pictured, I'm a writer, producer myself, and I thought each one would be its own separate thing with some crossovers for sure. I mean, that's for sure. At least to get off the ground, It's funny, like, for example, my example, so you come from that, I come from soaps. So I come from Dallas was the main series, Knots Landing was the spinoff. So they had Bobby Ewing take Gary out to California and buy him a house. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, that's how it started. In that first season, then JR would come out there and visit and start having every once in a while. Gary come back to, it's like they kind of went to, I thought they would do the same here. I had a feeling Mandalorian would show up. I had a feeling people would show up, but they're going to give us, still on Knots Landing, give us a whole world of characters and a whole separate world from Dallas, but we knew they were connected. That's what I thought we were going to get. And then at some point, you build off, you have your own identity. And you just kind of, well, same thing, we go back to All in the Family, Jeffersons, Maude, they all came from something, but then they end up having their own identities at some point. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought this is smart. Disney Plus is going to start doing this now and build the major Star Wars universe. That's what I thought they were going to do. I didn't realize it was going to be Mando heavy and Mando, as you said, Mando verse. I know it's going to happen. And I said I have a problem with it either. I just thought it was going to be broader. I thought they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll do this, and then they'll start. And they said they had Bad Batch coming, and this one. I said, oh, good. Now they're building it from the ground up. That's what I thought, Frank. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like it's maybe audiences. John, I don't know. Do you feel that we've become just kind of expecting that if a series is announced, if it's not explicitly said it's a limited series, in our heads we just naturally assume, oh, this is going to run 2, 3, 4 seasons?
Yeah, I can say that when Book of Boba Fett first was announced, I didn't think of it as something that would only be one season. Personally, that was just not my initial thought. I was like, oh, cool, a new series, Book of Boba Fett. Can't wait to see what they do. And I assumed it would go on for, at least a couple of seasons. But now I'm really rethinking that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Like it literally it ended, Frank. It ended. You said it in the finale. It literally ended.
Yeah.
What you say, this is not really for me. And they did no cliffhanger. Like he says that, and then this next scene, it's like, ooh, the Pike said he didn't die. Like, I mean, they didn't do anything.
Right.
Something there's Jennifer Beals. No. Actually, several people have been doing a bunch of Jennifer Beals stuff with her character, saying, "Let's bring her back to life." Like she didn't do anything anyway, so they agreed with us.
I guess the only real cliffhanger, because it felt like it wrapped up very neatly, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like you had Boba and Fennec walking through the streets being like, we're not suited for this, but who? And then they show the Mod Squad and Chrysanthemum. It's like, okay, yes. I guess they're the ones that are suited for this. So we know who's taking care of Tatooine or whatever. And then they show, Mando and Grogu flying off, and we're like, okay, they're back together. So everything seems like it's kind of, knotted up very nicely. But
John, let's go to that. That kind of final scene before they pan out.
Right.
It's almost jokey, like, why'd you give it to him? And it's like it didn't feel like there was. It really felt like it was like, okay, buddy, that was your Boba Fett after. That was your season. We're done.
Right.
Thank you very much for coming.
That was like they throw Chrysanthemum the fruit or whatever. It's like the SNL party at the end of the show. Like,
yes, exactly. Yes, that's exactly. So you get it, John. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, kids, thanks everybody for playing. Bye. Thank you. Good night.
The one thing that made me feel like, what are they up to, was the post-credit scene with. That was Cobb Vanth, right, in the in the back of the tank, and that's the one scene that I'm like, well, what does this mean?
But here you go. Does that go on Mandalorian?
Right.
Or does that go? I mean, like, will we see him come alive on season 3?
Right.
Come on, Frank. What do you think?
Sure. No, I mean, and I know there were on the cutting room floor. There is that scene of Stephen Root coming back at the end saying, "You're gonna pay me, Boba."
Exactly. I'm just like,
that eye roll.
I don't know. For me, I mean, I guess I probably would have naturally just assumed that that this would have been something that would have caught the same popularity as Mandalorian and gone on for a few seasons. And yet, then I watched this season, and yet I feel like, okay, if this is just a done in one, I'm totally fine. I don't feel like I'm missing out. Like, oh, you cut it off too soon. There was so much more to go, so much more to say about Boba. And maybe it is. Maybe the next iteration we see him again in, we get jazzed up. I don't know, but for right now, I'm like,
I agree with you, Frank. I think here's the thing. As a writer, I always think of like, well, they could resurrect. They could bring the Jawas back, the Hutts back. They can say, well, now you took care of everything. We want. I guess they could write something.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, they could. I mean, or have another threat. I mean, there's all kinds of beings out there, right? I mean, who knows, right? Maybe it's another threat. Maybe Moff Gideon gets away and then comes there and try. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking it could be anything, I guess, right?
Do you guys think so? We have, obviously Obi-Wan, the next show that's coming out takes place between, the prequels and the originals, right?
Right.
But we do have 3 shows here: the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka, that are all taking place around the same time, right?
Yep.
Do you think there's any chance that they could try to use these shows and try to play them sort of off each other? And so maybe we see a cliffhanger in one series that gets answered in another series. And, because like we said, like there were important questions answered in Book of Boba Fett about Mando, right? Mando is going to show up next season, and he's going to be back with Grogu, and he's going to have a new ship, which I feel like is a big thing. If you just watched season 2 of Mandalorian and then go right to season 3, you're going to be like, wait, why is Grogu here, and why does he have this ship? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and John, especially when people do binge watching later,
right?
And they go, well, I'm just going to watch the seasons in order,
right?
do they know to watch Boba Fett after Joe? I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Like it's all very strange to me right now. But I feel like, is this going to be like a new normal thing where like the next season of the Mandalorian, there's some new villain for Boba, and then all of a sudden we get a new announcement about a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett where he's battling somebody new on Tatooine, and then Ahsoka comes to help, but now she needs Boba's help in her new season of whatever her show is. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know. I didn't
think about that, John. Frankly, about that. What do you think about that? I didn't think about that part, actually, that we don't find out anything until the end of Mandalorian.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'd be totally down with it. I mean, I could see a season of Mandalorian season 3 building up to a cliffhanger. I could see a season of Ahsoka building up to a cliffhanger. And then you do a season where they're all together. It's like their own standalone season where it's both cliffhangers kind of lead all those characters into like a whole season long story arc. It kind of wraps everything up. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's very Marvel, right? It's very Marvel. I mean, that's
no, and I don't want everybody to, the way that Marvel's doing it. I think everybody was in such a rush to seize on the success that Marvel had with their way they tell their stories and the interconnectedness. I love kind of interconnectedness and continuity between characters and stories, but I don't need everybody to follow Marvel's template. Yeah. I mean, especially now at this point. I mean, Marvel's had it works so well now because Marvel's built it out for so long. So I think like the rush like what DC had when they tried to jump in so quick and threw everything in the kitchen sink in so fast did not do them well. But they wanted to just catch up and go like, hey, we can do this too, and we're here. So I'm down with Star Wars having any sort of interconnectedness, but it doesn't need to be the way that Marvel's done it. They can come up with however Star Wars wants to approach interconnectedness, and if that happens to be that, for 3 episodes out of your season, it's going to shift to another character, and we're going to follow their stories.
Sorry,
cool. All right, if that's the way you want to do it, that's great. We just need to find out whatever language they're doing it. I think the audience is conditioned now by Marvel to understand the language of how they tell their stories. And Star Wars, at least for the TV side of it, is so kind of new. I mean, we've got Mandalorian, but now with the Book of Boba Fett, we're kind of expanding, and with Ahsoka, I feel like it needs to develop how its language is going to be. Or I think we're just seeing the first steps in Book of Boba Fett, and whatever the Ahsoka, I think will kind of really give us a hint of how they want to tell that stuff.
Good point, John.
What if I have a really crazy thought here?
Do it. Say it. Do it.
So it's so crazy, but like I'm really excited about it. So like, okay, original trilogy, right? We had Luke, Han, and Leia, right?
Yes.
Sequel trilogy, we had Rey, we had Poe, we had Finn, right? Prequel trilogy, we just had everybody because there was just a million Jedi, right? But like, what if like we had this thing that was building right now? It was Boba, Mando, and Ahsoka, right? And maybe Ahsoka is only going to be like a 1 season. Like, we'll see what happens with Boba, but maybe it's only 1 season. Maybe Ahsoka is only 1 season, and we get that story, and then we get all 3 of them, and they're going to tell an even bigger story. You know what I mean? Where it's Mando, it's Boba, it's Ahsoka teaming up. God, I'd love to see like an actual movie at some point, but like maybe it's just a series and it's just all 3 of them, and it's on Mando, it's the Mandalorian, and they have some huge villain that they overtake. But I'd love to see the 3 of them like be the new trio. You know what I mean? I feel like we have trios in these trilogies, and I feel like I would love to see Mando, Boba, and Ahsoka team up to take on some huge villain on the dark side,
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm also interested is what Luke Skywalker's role is in this. I mean, not that I want him to have a huge role. I love seeing stories that aren't so Skywalker centric. Yeah. But now, I mean, at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, that seemed like a really special event that we were seeing Luke Skywalker. But now, Book of Boba Fett season 2, we had him in a large percentage of an episode. So kind of established like, oh yeah, no, this is just a character now that can just appear anywhere. So I'm curious, does that mean we can see him in Ahsoka? Will he show up for more than just 1 episode? Will we actually see him in multiple episodes doing a lot of stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Luke, you're right, Frank. The Luke factor is very interesting because now he's shown up twice.
Yeah.
And so now they can do it. Apparently, we have the technology. We can do it.
And it's interesting too because he's been on The Mandalorian, he's been on Book of Boba Fett, but he actually hasn't been in the presence of Boba Fett in these two series.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So like, I feel like they're setting us up for that too. Luke and Boba Fett are going to be in the same room at some point. I hope.
Maybe on Ahsoka.
Yeah.
You know
How much money do you think they'd have to throw at Harrison Ford to get him involved, so we could see a de-aged Han Solo coming across Boba Fett?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Anything's possible, Frank. This week just announced that Jack Wagner's returning to Bold and Beautiful for an episode in March. And I was like, Jack Wagner's off doing other things. When Calls the Heart, he's moved on. He's a character going back to. I'm like, anything can happen, Frank. Anything can happen. Anything's possible.
There you go.
I mean,
well, we're not getting him on GH, so
I know. But he could go. That could be next.
Yeah, that's
show
true.
One day for a one-day role. He can show. I mean, like anything's possible. They pay him enough. They got the money, Frank. They can pay. They can pay Harrison. My pay Harrison Ford. Come on.
He really is the best. He's the best.
Yes. I mean, so I'm saying they can talk. I mean, they threw some money at him. They could probably do something. But I think you're thinking with the trilogy. I think these three are kind of the new threesome, so to speak, for these TV shows. But I'll ask you again, Frank. So when they did do the crossover stuff with the DC universe on TV, did it work?
I thought it worked. I mean, I still have my quibbles with just the storytelling of it, but in terms of the characters crossing over, yeah, I mean, it was fine. I wish it would have been told better, but the actual execution of it, fine.
So with this series, if they did a standalone movie, a Disney Plus movie, that could be fun, possibly. Like John said, it'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Maybe have elements of what the show, all three shows are about.
I can already think of the perfect villain for them to be going after.
Okay, who's the villain? You gotta say it out loud. You can't keep it to yourself. You gotta say it out loud to the family.
Grand Admiral Thrawn. Let's take him down.
Let's take him down. Frank are all about that.
I'm not going to disagree there.
The same here. I mean, Frank and I told that before. That we're all. I mean, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Could you imagine Mando, Boba, Ahsoka taking down Grand Admiral Thrawn? Somebody write the movie right now.
I am wet right now, excited. That's the possibility of that. I mean, I would let me write it, you guys. I'll write it, you guys. Okay, Lucasfilms, contact James Lott Jr. I'll do it. I read the books. I'll do it. I'll do everything. No, I mean, I know. I'm saying. No thing about the Star Wars universe. There's lots of possibility. We know that. There's lots of possibility. But it was just so, coming to Boba Fett, it was just a weird situation. And when I saw that trailer, I go, now they're grouping them together, but underneath the Mando world.
Right.
That's how they did it. It was like, first you had Mando, now you had Boba Fett with Mando, and then 3's coming out. It's like, okay, now I see. Now it's being explained to me. I think we all expected a real, true, separate series with some appearances from people.
Yes,
that's what I think we thought. So I think all of us thought that on some level. We just thought, okay, and we knew that Boba was going to have to be explained how it happened, but I thought it'd be a little harder to. It just like they wrapped everything up. Except I feel bad for the mods and the Christianity. We bring these people out, and then it's like, well, what happens? Obviously, Cad Bane, obviously, he can come back to life at some point if they want to, and show him somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah,
Mandalorian or whatever. Because I say it's fine, but it's just weird. It's like for this series, they made a little world for us. That's what I'm saying. For me, they made a world that literally that's it. Like they made the world for one season, and that's it. Okay, bye.
I mean, I would like to think, given how popular Cad Bane is, that this is not the last we've seen of him in live action.
Right.
Because if that's the case, boy, what
lackluster.
Yeah, right. Bummer.
Because not only is Cad Bane a great character, and I know that some people had complaints about how he looked in live action, but I loved seeing him in live action. Like and it's I actually thought it was very well done. I know some people had complaints about how Ahsoka looked in live action, how the her hair wasn't long enough, it wasn't long enough, and certain things, but it's not going to look the same as it is animated, and you're not going to be able to have the actors do the same motions as they would animated. And I even saw online some people saying like Cad Bane was a paler blue because he's older than he is when we see him in the Clone Wars and in those types of appearances. So it's almost more true to the character to have the skin be a paler blue, because he's more worn and he's more, he has more experience, he's more rugged. So I really do. I would think it would be a crime to not have Cad Bane in more live action now that you've seen him on the live action screen. Yes. To not bring him back in that capacity would be a real crime.
What do you think is more likely that we see first, again, in any sort of series going forward? Will it be Boba Fett and Fennec, or the Mod Bikers and Chrysanthemum?
I think Boba Fett and Fennec, obviously. I think
yes. I agree.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Chrysanthemum so you can get like some redemption for being such a softie, but they really made him a softie in that. I mean, if I was a Chrysanthemum, like it's for real. If I was a Chrysanthemum, I'd be offended. No, they made him seem so soft. Like, come on, Fett was soft. Chrysanthemum was like just getting hurt all the time, and so I'm like, he needs redemption. He needs some redemption.
Yeah, I actually feel like we're going to see the Mod Squad again too, and I'm very angry at myself because I can't remember the name of the actresses. I can't remember the actress's name, but one of the actresses in Mod Squad was also in the show Yellow Jackets. She's a fantastic actress. Fantastic. Okay. I really wish that I could remember her name, but there was a moment between her and Fennec in the last episode of the season where she thanked Fennec for saving their lives. Fennec came out of nowhere. The mods were pinned down. Fennec came out of nowhere, saved them. She thanked Fennec, and Fennec was like, "Matters. I like that." And she took off on her speeder. And that moment to me just felt like, because we've lost Carrie Fisher, it just, that moment felt like that is a moment where a strong woman in Star Wars is passing the torch to another strong woman. And I felt like we can't just lose this character here.
Well, not just her, the guy with the eye, him, also got the modification guy. Come on, Frank.
Absolutely, all of the mods, But that moment, but that moment in particular to me stood out because I felt like we have plenty of strong male characters in Star Wars, but I feel like not a ton of really strong women characters that people can relate to. And I felt like we have Leia, and Carrie Fisher is gone, and that sort of story is over. And I felt like we have Fennec, who is another really strong female character that's been very popular in the Star Wars universe recently. And that moment, that line almost felt like, oh, Matters. I like that. Then she took off, and you had this shot of this mod girl on Tatooine, sort of like admiring Fennec as she took off, this hero. And I felt like, we're going to see this girl again. We're going to see her again.
Maybe not.
I mean, maybe they can flesh them out more to get me more excited and more interested in these mod biker gangs. But I don't know. For me, it's where, like, if we introduce the idea of these mod bikers, which I'm all fine for, body enhancements and alterations in the Star Wars universe, let's do it. But I really wanted to see, like, is this merely cosmetic, or does it serve a function? And I would think it would serve a function. I mean, one other than keeping you alive in the case of Fennec Shan, but
right.
When we only see the guy with the one eye where he just uses it to go look at.
I love it.
He knows it's going to be there.
I love hair.
That's ridiculous. That was a horrible showing of why he would have that.
He stands out. He has one eye.
And he used it so lamely.
I will say it's definitely not good for the mods that, like, you have to almost die to be the best mod. like Fennec is the most badass mod, yet she was like on death's doorstep. All these other people that just chose their like elective modifications, like super lame.
My sister agrees with John. Okay. Yes, I mean, I don't know. I just think that they create these characters for a reason. I'm like, it'd just be a shame if that's it, kids. Unless they show up elsewhere too. I mean, like, right? Unless they leave Tatooine and go somewhere else and help out. So it goes. I remember these guys. Weren't they over at? I mean, who knows? I mean, crossovers can happen. Obviously, they can make it happen. It's just, I just, again, for this show, it's one of the most interesting shows that I've ever reviewed, to tell you the truth. And Frank, you and I have reviewed a lot of shows. I just feel like this was a very interesting one to review.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I feel like even if I don't see the Mud Bikers, I feel like Chrysanthemum is such a new popular character introduced in the comics.
Yeah.
That to see him on live action, I think people would be jazzed to see more of him, especially if he can be more of how we saw him in the first couple episodes when he's just laying beatdowns on people, not when he became kind of the neutered guy after ever since he fell into the pit.
That was it.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
That was it.
I can agree with that. I'd love to see the Mod Squad, and the actress's name I just found out is Sophie Thatcher. Okay. But from the Mod Squad. But if we don't see the Mod Squad again, I'd be okay with it. But I will be very upset if we don't see Chrysanthemum again. That is a character that needs to be used more than just in a couple episodes of this show, for sure.
I mean, and do you believe the Pike Syndicate are done?
No, I don't think if their whole business relied on the success of Tatooine, it doesn't seem like a great organization. So I can't believe that.
Yeah,
I don't think they're done, but I want to see them hurt and like looking for help. If we see them again, whether it's on another season of a Book of Boba Fett or Mando or whatever, if we see them in the future in live action, I want them to be hurt and looking for help somewhere that's like very unexpected, and seeing something. I know there were rumors out there online of like Crimson Dawn being involved, and seeing Kira played by Emilia Clarke. There were things like that thrown out there. I'd love to see something with the Pikes being like, oh, we need help, and seeing something like Crimson Dawn behind it, or some other big villain. But I would love to see more of the Pikes in live action. I feel like the Pikes have a huge part in the animated series, and it would only be right to have them continue to show up in live action.
Yeah, crazy. I agree. The question is, I feel like it's only a matter of time, I think, before we see Darth Maul in live action in one of the series. Yeah. And will it be? Are they going to pull Ray Park out? Man, are they going to get him?
They better.
They better. Come on, folks. They can do it. They can do it. Throw some cash at them. They can do it. Hey, please. I know everybody's excited about that possibility. That's something that's a possibility too. But again, I don't want anything done unless it's done well. So I mean, I think we can all agree on that. I mean, I just want something that's entertaining, that makes sense. I want soap operas. I'm open to things. But I want to make sense. And Boba Fett, again, like you guys, I enjoyed watching it. It just kind of threw me off a little bit. But I do want something that's going to be a solid story, because again, Darth Maul's another fan favorite, another cult character. I don't want to see them all. I don't want to see them all ruined on some level, or just kind of because it came to TV, so to speak. I don't want that to happen. You know what I mean? There's already a kind of a thing about movies, TV. I don't want that either. I want the TV to be the same quality as like the movies.
Yeah. I really, before the series started, before Book of Boba Fett started, I was very trusting of Favreau and Filoni, and I still am. And I think that the series wasn't what I was expecting, but I think that they have very specific and very good purposes for why they had the series play out the way it did. I think that there is a purpose for everything that we saw, and there's a certain direction they want to go in with the next season of Mando, with the season of Ahsoka. If there is another season of Boba Fett, I think they have a very specific plan for that. And I think that this season of Boba Fett was setting all of that up. And I think we'll see it all play out coming up. I really don't think that people like Filoni and Favreau, who are such big fans of this franchise, don't have a plan moving forward. I mean, we have 3 series here between Boba, Mando, and Ahsoka. They're all connected. And I think that they have been working on this story that's going to come together eventually for a long time. And this book of Boba Fett was part of it, and it confused us all. But I think that we're all in for a big payoff. I do. I really do. And I could be wrong, but I think it's building towards it. And we're all confused right now, but I think we're all going to be happy in the end. I do.
Frank, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm down for whatever they want. They want to give us, and I may have had. Well, no, I don't may have. I'm sure I have, and probably and still do have those rose-colored glasses on when it comes to Filoni and Favreau in the Star Wars universe, where it's like the expectation with them is like everything they do is going to be fantastic. So watching Book of Boba Fett again, as I said before, I didn't hate the show, but it didn't like get me as stoked as other stuff that they've done within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Which no, not and it was just like kind of like, oh yeah, okay, well. Not that I disliked it, but I'm also thinking, okay, yeah, they're human. Occasionally, maybe you don't knock it out of the park and you get a double. And that can be fine too. That's why I am just dying to hear any interviews that they give, breaking down really into the nuts and bolts of putting together the Book of Boba Fett and what they thought was successful. Do they think anything that they wanted to do didn't succeed? If so, do they have any feelings why? And what are they taking away from the Book of Boba Fett as they approach other Star Wars related content?
Yeah.
Yes, Frank, I'm with you. I'm waiting. I've been checking. I'm looking to see at some point if there is any Book of Boba Fett's backstory, documentary, behind the scenes, because we'll cover that on here too. We'll do an episode on that. But I did that with some other shows. It was very highly rated. But no, we'll cover because I want to see. I'm curious too. I'm very curious.
Yeah,
maybe they're being silent right now because they're busy doing Ahsoka or busy doing Man of Steel. Like they're probably thinking, let's kind of get the stuff done and maybe later release material. Usually they do. With Man of both seasons, they released extra bonus material. They did. They had bonus material. So I'm thinking they will at some point. They must. I mean, maybe. I hope so.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy reading about and the opportunities that. James and I have had to interview creators before that the more candid they could be, the more enjoyable it certainly is. And not that I think that for like, oh, it's so salacious and all that stuff, but it's just, I'm a big process person and I just kind of love digging into the act of creation. And so when somebody can just be honest about what they thought was great and, be also honest with what they thought they wanted to achieve, but didn't quite hit what they were looking to go for and kind of breaking it down and figuring out why it didn't work and what they're taking away from it, because I mean there's always something to gain from anything that doesn't succeed.
Right.
So I'm all about that, and I would just I'm just itching for one of those.
Oh, I'm with you. Because there has been nothing. It's been silence. So I haven't seen anything. I mean, I'm online every day, so I haven't seen none related to this. So seriously, is it crazy? It's like just like that trailer was the first thing I saw of anything that was kind of mentioned Boba Fett. I mean, there's nothing being talked about. It's kind of radio silence, kind of weird. It could be on purpose. It might be a reason for that. So
I think they all filmed on Manhattan Beach, isn't that where everything's filmed?
Yeah, it's really from Manhattan Beach down here by me. Yeah.
What are you waiting for, James?
I just go right over. What's going on? Literally 15 minutes south of me. I just go right down there and see what's going on. Hey, where are you? Hey, Filoni, get out here. John, get out here. Talk to me. I'm James Lott Jr. It won't work that way, Frank. I don't think it's gonna work that way. I mean, I could try.
Sure. Ding dong, JLJ Media.
JLJ Media. You're now.
Do you know who I am?
You know who I am. Everybody knows who I am. Come on. We're gonna do this. So so that's the we're gonna end it on here. We've been on for over an hour. So my original thing I want to do, we'll do it next week. We'll do it. Just keep talking. Unless something new happens. Unless something new happens between now and then about Boba Fett, that'll be brought up next week too. But that's let's keep it going. So we're gonna milk this as long as we can. As long as you guys want to watch us and hear us.
Sorry.
Yeah, all these people that they're tuning in specifically to hear that, like, they didn't give me it. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your show was derailed.
It's derailed. They're laughing at chat room. No, I love it. It was a good derailed. It was good. But here's the thing. I felt like I could not talk about the trailer. I mean, it was just such an interesting trailer they put out because people were bringing it to my attention. They were sending it to me. But did you see this? And I go, no, I didn't see it at first. Actually, I saw it 2 days later. It came out like on a Tuesday. I saw it on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it. So they were like, look at this. And I was like, that's very, I can talk to the fellas about that. It's very interesting what they did. And now it gave me a little bit of, everybody's laughing in the chat room. That's so funny. Oh, my sister said she'll drive me over. Okay, sis. Hi, we're brother and sister, and like Leia and Luke, right?
Yeah. Hopefully you haven't kissed.
No, we have not. No, we haven't. Right, sis? Not like that. No, that's not. We haven't done that. We'll try to get that part of the history of that. No, we haven't done that. But that's funny. But no, yeah. So I think, yeah. So I could not. We could not talk about it. So I'm glad. But you guys you both gave me something to think about. Really, actually, I never really realized about this possibly limited series or something. I mean, I don't know, folks. I mean, you guys at home, tell us what you think too. But please share with us what you think. And if you think it's one and done, then let us know. If you think there's more possibilities, let us know. If you have any theories, there's 1,000,001 things that can be done. Obviously, well, if they're done well, it can be done. So that's the thing there. John Dunphy, you guys are doing Canadian Big Brother. Where can they find you?
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so freaking excited. I can't even.
Is it good?
Oh my God. So, yeah. Honestly, Canadian Big Brother. Every other country does our shows better than us, just so everybody knows. Yes. But yes, I am doing a show that covers Big Brother with two of my closest friends, Gina Morgino and Kyle Petty. It's called Jury Duty, a Big Brother podcast. You can find us on Twitter at BB Jury Duty or Instagram at BB Jury Duty. We're covering the newest season of Big Brother Canada that just started tonight, season 10. So we'll be doing that every Monday night. We'll be talking about that. So you can find us there. And then if you want to find me, I'm at JDunn89. I'm always playing the piano and singing. And
I feel like you're singing to me because you're picking all the songs of my era. I love that song. I love that song. I love that song.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Very good. Frank Moran.
Yes. I first have to ask, John, who is the Julie Chen of Canada?
Arissa Cox, and she is fantastic. I have to tell you, I love Julie Chen, but Arissa is a way better host. Way better.
The Chen bot? Really? The Chen bot?
Yeah.
Well, James, don't think I didn't notice when you just threw out that little humble brag. Like, I had people bringing this to my attention. Yeah. James has reached that level now where he's got people searching, scouring the webs for him. So
yes.
Bringing the information.
Yes.
Paying tribute to JLJ and JLJ Media.
I volunteer as tribute.
I have underlings. Thank you. Right. Finally. I work towards that, Frank.
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie.
And every Sunday, our shady asses are talking about the General Hospital, the GH Mini Spotlight, and my other huge show on this network. It's number 2 show on this network, the GH Mini Spotlight and Recap. We do it every Sunday at 1 p.m. And we just talk shadily about the show. And you can find me, we're all James Lott Jr. sold at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. And we will see you next time, Star Wars Boba Fett fans. Thank you so much for watching and listening.